This video will teach you about average speed and how it's related to unit rates. So throughout the video, there are specific notes that you need to write in the specific boxes that we labeled and set up in your notebook. So here's the definition for average speed. This definition should be copied in the definition box in your notebook. If you need to, you can pause this video in order to write everything down in the definition box. So average speed is the total, which the total can be distance, words typed, pages read, etc. So it's the total divided by the time in which something was completed. So our keywords here are the total divided by the time. So again, pause this video if you need to copy down, if you need time to copy down this definition. So let's look at the drawing and formula. This is specifically for distance. So this drawing, the car and the line and 450 miles needs to be copied in the drawing and formula box in your notebook. Doesn't have to be perfect, but draw it the best way you can. So how do we find the average speed of this car if it traveled 450 miles and let's say it did this in 9 hours? So here we have the distance and here we have the time. So let me switch colors. The formula that we can write for average speed, again, remember it's total divided by time. In this case, it's distance. So the formula we can say for average speed is total divided by time. Again, for this example, it'll be total distance. Later, you'll see that it might be something else other than distance. So total divided by time. So this fraction bar that we wrote here means divide. So it'll be total, when we actually divide it out, total divided by time. So these two ways need to be copied down in your formula box next to your drawing. So before we actually work it out mathematically, let's just think about it. This car traveled 450 miles in 9 hours, so that means we have to divide, and I know that because here's the total distance, that green line, and we have to divide it up into 9 hours. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me change colors. And then you'll see that there's 9 different spaces. So here's 1 hour, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we want to know how fast he traveled per hour. Because again, those orange squigglies, those are the 9 different hours. So let's actually divide. I'm going to show my work down here in the empty space. So the total distance, again, average speed, total divided by time. The total distance is 450 miles. The total time is 9 hours, so total divided by time, and then I just go ahead and divide, so I have to use my knowledge of long division. 9 I know cannot go into 4, but it can go into 45. 45 divided by 9 is 5. 5 times 9 is, let me erase this. 5 times 9 is 45, and then I subtract 0, bring down my 0. 0 divided by 9 is 0, and then 0 times 9 is 0. So I have no remainder. So my answer is 50 miles per hour. And notice that I said the word per. Whenever you hear the word per, you should start thinking of unit rates. So this answer, 50 miles per hour, means that this person drove 50 miles each hour. So 50 miles per 1 hour, I know that that is a unit rate. So here's 50, 50, 50. All of these different sections was each 50 miles per hour. So to give me a total of 450 miles. So the average speed, 50 miles per hour. So let's move on to a we do. This we do should be copied in your we do box in your notebook. Train A travels 725 miles for every 5 hours. Train B travels 600 miles for every 4 hours. Which train has the greatest average speed? So I'm just going to underline train A travels 725 miles for every 5 hours. Train B travels 600 miles for every 4 hours. Which train has the greatest average speed? And I'm sorry, you do not have to write down the word problem. You just have to write down all the math that you do. So show just your actual work. So what I like to do, let's draw a squiggly line first, and then let me change colors. On the left side, we'll write down our info for train A. On the right side will be train B, because we're comparing train A versus train B. So again, remember that the formula is total divided by time, or when we divide it out, it'll be total divided by time. So let's look at train A, 725 miles for every 4 hours. So my total is 725 miles. My time, is 5 hours. That's for train A. For train B, it was 600 miles for every 4 hours. And then let's go ahead back and divide. So 5 can go into 7 once. 1 times 5 I know is 5. I subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. I bring down my 2. 22 divided by 5 can go in 4 whole times. 4 times 5 I know is 20. Subtract. And then I bring down my 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So 145 miles, I'll put mph, miles per hour, for train A. So let's look at train B. 4 can go into 6 1 whole time. 1 times 4 I know is 4. Subtract, bring down my 0. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract, bring down my 0. 0 divided by 4 is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. So for train B, 150 miles per hour. So again, the question was, which train has the greatest average speed? So I know that train B travels 150 miles per hour, which is greater than train A, 145 miles per hour. So our answer here, train B, has the greatest average speed. Here is you do number 1. Again, you do not have to write down the word problem, but you do need to show your work. So you do number 1 needs to be completed in the you do number 1 box. So if you pause this video and then jump back to the video after you're done doing it on your own, then we'll work through it together on the video. So let's see how you did with you do number 1. So Michelle drives 300 miles for every 4 hours. So Michelle, 300 miles for every 4 hours. David drives 480 miles for every 8 hours. So who has the greatest average speed? So in other words, who traveled faster in 1 hour? So Michelle is going to be on my left side, David on my right side. And then again, I just simply divide. Remember that my formula is total divided by time. When we work it out, total divided by time. So Michelle is 300 miles for every 4 hours. That's a 0. And then David, 480 miles for every 8 hours. So then again, we just simply divide. For Michelle, let's start with the M. 4 cannot go into 3, but 4 can go into 30. 4 can go into 30, I know 7 whole times, so 7 times 4 is 28. And then I subtract, bring down my 0. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20, so I have no remainder. Michelle traveled 70 miles per hour. And then let's take a look at David. Let me switch colors. 8 cannot go into 4, but 8 can go into 48. A total of 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. I subtract, bring down my 0. 0 divided by 8 is 0, so 0 times 8 is 0. So I have no remainder. So David goes 60 miles per hour. So again, the question was, who has the greatest average speed? So Michelle, since she went 75 miles per hour, that's her unit rate, is faster than David's 60 miles per hour. So for you do number 1, the correct answer is Michelle. Here is you do number 2. Excuse me. You do number 2 should be completed in the you do number 2 box in your notebook. So again, do it on your own. Go ahead and pause the video. Once you're done, unpause it, and then we'll work it out together to see how you did. So let's see how you did with you do number 2. I went ahead and wrote out the formulas up top. So plane A travels 920 miles for every 5 hours. Plane B travels 960 miles for every 6 hours. Which plane has the greatest average speed? So on my left side, I'll do plane A. On my right side, I'll do plane B. And so plane A, let me switch colors. Plane A traveled the total 920 miles. Let me fix that. 920 miles for every 5 hours. Plane B, 960 miles for every 6 hours. So I set up both of my division problems, and then I just go ahead and divide. Let's start with plane A. 5 can go into 9 one whole time. 1 times 5 is 5, and then I subtract, bring down my 2. 42 divided by 5, let's see, is 8. 8 times 5 I know is 40. I subtract, and then I bring down my 0. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20, and then I subtract. I have no remainder. So plane A traveled 184 miles per hour. This was its unit rate. It went that far each hour. So let's look at plane B. 6 can go into 9 one whole time. 1 times 6. Excuse me. 1 times 6 is 6. I subtract, bring down my 6. 36 divided by 6 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. I subtract, bring down my 0. 0 divided by 6 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. I subtract, so I have no remainder. Plane B travels 160 miles per hour. That's its unit rate. So the question was, which plane has the greatest average speed? So I see that plane A traveled further per hour because it's 184 miles per hour versus plane B's 160 miles per hour. So for you do number 2, the answer is plane A. So here's the last you do number 3. Again, do this on your own. Go ahead and pause the video. Once you're done, check back in with the video, unpause it so we can work it out together. So let's see how you did with you do number 3. Again, I've written the formula for average speed, total divided by time. In this case, something different, it's not distance. So we can still do average speed based on a typing example. So John can type 400 words for every 5 minutes. Michael can type 332 words for every 4 minutes. Who types the slowest? So in other words, who has the slowest or lower average speed? So I'll go ahead and set up my paper. John's on the left, Michael's on the right. So John's total was 400 words for every 5 minutes. Michael's total was 332 words for every 4 minutes. So then we just go ahead and divide and see who is the slowest at typing or who has the lower average speed. So let's start with John. 5 cannot go into 4, but 5 can go into 40, a total of 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. I subtract, and then I bring down my 0. 0 divided by 5 is 0. 0 times 5 is 0. So John can type a total of 80 words per minute. And then let's look at Michael's. Let me switch colors. 4 cannot go into 3, but 4 can go into 33, a total of 8 times without going over. 8 times 4 is 32. I subtract, and then I bring down my 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12, and I have no remainder. So Michael can type 83 words per minute. So who types the slowest? I see that John types slower because he only types 80 words per minute versus Michael's 83 words per minute. So for you do number 3, the correct answer is John. So you've successfully done the 3 you do. So your exit ticket. Raise your hand to get an exit ticket from Miss Ladigan. Complete it, and once you're done, turn that in.